Do you find yourself struggling with life? Do you find that life can sometimes beat you down? Or has worrying consumed you? Are you looking for answers and maybe not finding any? Well, you've reached the right place. Welcome to our podcast, The Bridge, where we focus on you reaching your full potential. Our goal is to see you smile, to see your family come closer, to build a positive relationship, and for you to enjoy your life as we take the time to build the bridge over troubled waters. Come, join us, and get in touch with peace.
Welcome to the bridge. We are live now, so no takebacks. Okay. So today's topic is going. Sorry about that. So today's topic is going to be pretty interesting. The reason it's going to be interesting is because it's going to have a spiritual undertone. And the reason that is because I don't know any other way to really deliver this message without the spiritual undertone with it. So you can bear with me as we discuss. I'm calling it the spiritual influence or the influence. Or we'll just say the spiritual influence. I think that sounds cooler. Spiritual influence. So, okay, here's some a comparison. So, in the psychological world, we have this thing called a mood. Now, the definition of a mood is a free floating emotion. This is where um, the emotions that are around you can be picked up on and can have sway or influence over you. Now, we've all experienced this. We've experienced feeling, maybe happy or positive or feeling in a different mood. We walk in a room and the room is heavy or the mood is completely different than how you were feeling and you have a choice. You could either continue in your mood or adopt the mood that's around you, the feelings that are around you, and your body can pick this up. Typically, we adapt to the environment around us, but that's not always good. And so, yes, I could have used mood as my intro in this, but it didn't quite have the gravity of all that I want to discuss in this matter of the influence around us that can control our shape, the way we see the world around us, how we perceive it, our emotions and feelings, and how we deal with it. So I'll give you two background stories that really got me on this topic. The first one is my relationship with my daughters. So I feel like a close relationship with my daughters. And sometimes when we have family time or anytime we disrupt their flow, anytime we go off a outside of a normal schedule, it takes a lot to get them all in the same mindset. They express different types of moods. I may have one daughter who seems agitated, and I may have one daughter who seems distracted. And then I may have one daughter who's trying to participate, but just is confused and not really catching what we're trying to do or what we're trying to say. And it takes a minute to kind of get them all in sync, I have to pay attention to them, and in a way where I don't, make them feel negative or hurtful, but in a way that allows them to um, realize that I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to jive for us together. Now, this happens with adults too. The other story or the other situation is my relationship with my sister. So I have a sister who just moved, and you know how moves can go. They can be really frustrating, and you need help and you need a lot of things. And I went over to her place, to lend her assistance. And of course, she's frustrated because things aren't going according to plan. And her emotions, her mood is kind of angry, but also a defeated type, feeling. And so in both cases, recognizing this, I try to communicate to them. I said, "Hey, you don't have to be angry right now, or hey, you don't have to be confused, or you don't have to be agitated, or you don't have to be all over the place. You can recognize the environment and choose what influences what's going to influence you, what's around you that can is going to influence. You can choose what to focus on, but you have to know what's going on and have to make that choice. Now, this is difficult to explain just with what I've been saying with the mood. I want to try to add let's add the terminology of spirit. Now, so when you think about spirit, right? You think of maybe a celestial being or some type of entity that is intelligent, that um moves about beyond our vision of scope, right? Whether you're spiritual, Christian, or any other religion, you have some form manifestation of what a spirit is. We all think of it in different ways. For sakes and purposes, what I want to look at as I want to look at spirit as a controller of a specific um feature. So here's what I mean. So let's say fear. Let's say there's an owner to fear. There's a spirit of fear. Christians will understand that. There's a spirit of fear. There's a spirit of confusion. There's a spirit of love. There's a spirit of confusion. There's a spirit of happiness. There's a spirit of productivity or consistency. Let's say every attribute that we can possess, there's an owner of it. Let's say there's a spirit of it. And it's like almost like their own book or own ideology or whatever, but you have a spirit of this particular thing. Now, bear with me because this is going to be important. The reason I want to put an identity and individualize this particular idea of spirit that controls certain personas or ideologies is because we need to find a way to recognize what spirit is in play at the moment. We need to be able to understand if, hey, I got like a spirit of confusion on me right now, or I have a spirit of anger, or I have a spirit of hospitality, or I have a spirit of joy or hope, or a spirit of understanding, or a spirit of dumbness or whatever, whatever it may be. And I know how this sounds. It sounds like I'm about to start preaching to you. But if you could just take this concept and apply it as a way to identify what is the most controlling or influential thing in your environment, then you will be able to dictate what persona or what spirit you will take on. Now, this is so important. This has been monumental for me and those that I've been trying to get to understand this concept, because you'll walk into a room and someone will have like this negative spirit on them, but you can't say, oh, you got this negative spirit, or you're doing this, because then they're going to think like, you're trying to preach at them all the time, or you crazy, or you trying to say there's a boogeyman or something after them, or whatever it may be. But but when you look at it from the point of view I'm trying to give it, I can say, hey, you're being influenced by a particular mood that isn't conducive or isn't going to serve you well. It's going to lead you down a negative path. There's a negative mood in the air, a negative kind of situation going on around you that is bringing you down, not lifting you up. It's not allowing you to control your environment, but or it's controlling your environment in a negative way. And so, with that, now that you can put words to it and you can say, hey, here is the type of spirit I'm actually seeing on you. Or you want to say mood. Here's the type of mood I'm seeing on you. You got this mood of confusion. Okay, let me give you an example. So let's say you're doing homework with your child, right? And they are just all over the place. They're not paying attention. They're easily distracted. They can't focus. Now they're smart. They're intelligent. They can do the work if they put their mind to it. But in this moment, they are not able to focus. They're not able to really pay attention to what's going on. And so, you could say to them like, "Hey, you seem to have this mood or this spirit of confusion." And then you can break it down to them. You can say, and what that is that you're allowing yourself to focus on or be influenced by a fear or a thought process that doesn't allow you the freedom, the access to open up your mind to problem solve what's in front of you. You have locked into this thought process of or anxiety or whatever it is that's causing you to be confused. And that person now can take a self inventory and they can say, okay, those words make sense. And what am I doing? What am I accepting? What am I locking in on that's got me so focused on confusion that I can't problem solve, especially when I know how to problem solve and I've problem solved before in the past. And so now you can walk this person through it. Now I don't know how you're taking this right now, but I have done this in real time in the last couple of weeks, and it has allowed me to communicate to those in my environment in such a clear way, with clarity, that we are able together to point out and redirect the problem. I'll give you a good example. So we was having some family time and I was talking to my daughter, and actually this was my fault because I was the one, misreading signals. But we were talking and my daughter was singing a song in the middle of while I was talking. And so I thought she was being rude. And so I communicated. I said, it seems like you you have a mindset or a mood or a spirit or whatever, whatever, however you want to present it, of rudeness right now. It seems like you are more interested in expressing, going against the flow and not being uh, respectful. Instead, you're being rude. And so my daughter was able to take self inventory, and she was like, "Was I being rude?" And she said, "Well, let me, she and on her credit, she was like, "Well, let me tell you what I was doing. When you were talking about this particular point, it reminded me of a song that reminds you to do what you were saying." So, I was like, "Hey, you should have your own devotion, or, you should connect with God." And she was like, she was singing a song that was saying the same thing. So she was actually paying attention and strengthening what I was saying through song. I assumed that, she was being rude, and so I didn't take time. I didn't have a good spirit of understanding. I was just, was assuming, and I was able to correct that. I was like, "Hey, you're right. I didn't take time to understand what you were doing. I was assuming that, this was what was going on, and I was trying to correct it with you." And it just made for a better way to communicate and accept where we are, and understand that where we are is a combination of influences that float around in our environment, for whatever reason. Maybe it's just due to experiences. Maybe they're locked, these thoughts are locked in our head, and through experiences or familiar sounds, smells, or whatever it may be, we unlock this thought process. But now that we can identify the thought process and realize whether it's good or bad for us, then we can take responsibility for it. And so I want to give, so if you're with me on this, I want to give you uh just a couple of ways how to utilize this in your personal life, to help you, one, accurately identify where your mood is, where your thought process, what's influencing you, but also how to change it if it's not conducive, or if it's not what you want to show or express to those around you. All right. So the first tool I want to give you is how to identify it. So for me, I give it the term. I put it in terms of uh, spirit. So there's so many different, and I'm starting to identify even more. But spirit of fear, spirit of anxiousness, spirit of confusion, spirit of anger, spirit of happiness. I'm making a list, and that's basically what I would tell you is make a list of the different types of influences around you, are things that can control you. And it's not going to be the universal for every, there's going to be some that are universal, but not everybody is going to be influenced or struggle with the same influences that you struggle with. So this is going to be unique to you, and you need to identify those, and you may need to keep a running list. And so the second thing is, anytime you are engaging into something that is requiring your attention, your energy, or if there's that prompt that, hey, I need to pay attention to my environment right now. um use that, use that list to identify what is it that's in your environment? What is it that you are influenced by that may be challenging your goal in that moment? All right. Now, once you have that settled, so let's say you are having a conversation with your partner, your spouse, and you recognize that the whatever's going on, your anxiety, your fear of losing your partner for whatever reason is starting to rise. Like you're like, man, this argument is going to push my partner away, and I'm starting to feel that anxiousness, that fear um, come on, and I know that if I allow that fear to take over, it's only going to make things worse. Two things that you do. Number one, you got to expose the spirit that's influencing you, and you expose it to the person that may be the most impacted. So in this particular scenario, I would talk to my partner. I would say, hey, right now I feel afraid. I feel afraid that this argument is pushing uh, me and you apart from each other, and I don't want to do that. I want to make my point. I want to dialogue with you, but not at the risk of hurting you or hurting myself or hurting our relationship. And so you have to acknowledge that this thing is real. This is why it's important to be able to identify which spirit it is, right? Because once you can identify it, then you can accurately communicate it to those around you and elicit the help. Like, so you can say, hey, I want to change. I want to still have the conversation with you. I still want to dialogue with you, but I don't want to do it from a stance of fear, and I don't want to do it from a stance of anger. So let's set some parameters. And so this is where it starts to get fun in your environment, because now you can set parameters in your environment. You can tell those that are in your environment, hey, let's set some parameters so that what we're trying to accomplish, we can do it in a positive way. And let's look at triggers, these key words. When I emphasize a word, these are things that you want to pay attention to. Let's look at triggers in our environment that we can get rid of. And so you want to do those things. You want to, one, be able to put it in words, identify it, be able to put it in words, speak it out loud. Then you want to elicit those in your environment to participate in developing parameters that are conducive to the environment, to everyone, and remove the triggers that would keep you stuck. All right. So that was a long way to get around to uh my me. But I'll leave you with this story. So these are brief, and I'm probably going to chop it down even more when you see it on TikTok or Facebook shorts. But I leave you with this story. So I saw this on. I can't take credit for this thought process. I actually saw it on TikTok, but it's a great analogy of of what will happen when you start controlling the spirit that is influencing you. Okay, so the story goes, a guy was saying that he had went to a grocery store in some hick town in Alabama, and there was this um, little old white lady sitting like on a porch, and he's about to step into the store. And when he's about to step in, he sees this wet floor sign. The lady says something pretty cringing. She said, uh, "Don't slip on that floor. I'm gonna have to wrap that sign around your neck. And with no smile, the guy couldn't determine if she was just playing around or if she was serious. And he said, I had a choice to make. I could get angry about it, I could ignore it, or I could, control the mood of the room. And so he decided to lean over and say to her, don't do that, because then you won't be able to split this insurance money with me. And they both had a laugh, and the situation was a non-issue. And they both walked away intact. Now, here's the thing he said that I thought was just so amazing. And I don't know if he came up with it or maybe I've heard it before, but he says you have a choice in life. You can be a thermometer or you could be a thermostat. See, a thermometer only can show you the temperature of the room. It can't control it. It just can show it to you. Whereas a thermostat can control the temperature of the room. And so if you want to have control over your environment, you need to know what mood, what forces you want influencing you in your environment. All right. So take that. I hope that was helpful. And look forward to talking to you guys. Yes, please subscribe to the program, The Bridge. We got some other podcasts that we're doing as well that you'll be able to follow. So follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you guys really soon. Talk to you later.
Do you find yourself struggling with life? Do you find that life can sometimes beat you down? Or has worrying consumed you? Are you looking for answers and maybe not finding any? Well, you've reached the right place. Welcome to our podcast, The Bridge, where we focus on you reaching your full potential. Our goal is to see you smile, to see your family come closer, to build a positive relationship, and for you to enjoy your life as we take the time to build the bridge over troubled waters. Come, join us, and get in touch with peace.